Society today is hypersexualized and inundated with sexual imagery. Billboards, music, movies, and even everyday conversations are rife with sexual innuendos and explicit content. This constant bombardment has, to some extent, led us to believe that sex is an essential part of the human experience. It's become so integral to our definition of happiness that the thought of living without it seems unbearable. But is it, really? Is sex as essential as it has been perceived to be? Interestingly, a rising trend among the younger generation might make you rethink this. A growing number of youth are choosing to abstain from sex for various reasons. They're opting for celibacy, a way of life that involves refraining from sexual activities. This surge in celibacy is not just a result of religious or moral reasons, but a conscious and informed choice many are making after weighing the pros and cons of sexual activity. Why would anyone choose to go against the grain, to step away from a pleasure that society so ardently celebrates? The reasons are manifold and deeply personal, ranging from the pursuit of mental clarity to the desire to channel their energies elsewhere. Before we delve into these reasons, it's important to acknowledge that these young people are not ascetics. They are normal individuals like you and me, who have simply chosen a different path. They've defied the societal norms that dictate that sex is the ultimate pleasure, the ultimate measure of a successful relationship, and an essential part of adult life. This choice, as surprising as it may be to some of us, is not entirely unfounded. On closer inspection, we find that the compelling allure of sex does come with its bag of potential drawbacks. In our pursuit of this primal pleasure, we tend to overlook the effort, cost, and potential disappointments involved in it. And no, we are not talking only about the obvious physical risks associated with sexual activity, the risk of sexually transmitted diseases or unplanned pregnancies. The implications run deeper. There's a psychological and emotional cost involved in sexual relationships that often gets overlooked. The mental toll of failed relationships, the heartbreak, the fear of rejection, the insecurities, the constant need to conform to societal standards of beauty and desirability, all are part and parcel of this pursuit. This is not to dismiss the joy and intimacy that sex can bring into a relationship, but to merely highlight that, like everything else in life, it comes with its own set of challenges. Epicurus, the ancient Greek philosopher, lends support to this viewpoint. He argued that although sex is a natural desire, it is not necessary for happiness. In fact, he believed that this primal desire could potentially be harmful. According to him, the fleeting pleasure that sex offers is often accompanied by considerable distress and anxiety. The anticipation, the longing, the fear of rejection or disappointment, and the resulting dissatisfaction can often outweigh the temporary pleasure it provides. Epicurus's philosophy suggests that while it is natural to seek pleasure, it's important to weigh if the cost, the potential harm, and the inevitable dissatisfaction are worth it. This perspective offers a fresh lens to view our hedonistic pursuits and question if what we've been conditioned to desire is truly what we need or want. This rising trend of celibacy among the younger generation raises an important question. Are they onto something? Are they discovering a path less trodden that leads to greater mental freedom and a life less encumbered by societal pressures? As we explore this further, we'll see that the reasons to abstain from sex are as diverse as they are fascinating. From philosophy to psychology to personal experiences, there's a world of perspectives that offer a compelling case for celibacy. It's a journey that's not easy, but one that can potentially lead to a liberating and expansive existence. So let's dive deeper into this concept and explore what it truly means to live a life of celibacy in a world that's constantly telling us otherwise. Let's delve into the potential benefits, the philosophical underpinnings, and the personal experiences of those who have chosen this path. Let's open our minds to a new way of thinking and living, and who knows, we might just be surprised by what we discover. Unpacking the potential drawbacks of sexual activity, we venture into a realm that often lies in the shadows of the glamorous facade of sex portrayed in society. Behind that curtain of allure and pleasure lurk numerous challenges and repercussions that aren't discussed as widely. Physical risks, though significant, are only a part of the equation. The spread of sexually transmitted diseases, the risk of unwanted pregnancies, and even the physical discomfort that sex can sometimes entail are well known. However, these aren't the only burdens one might have to bear in the pursuit of sexual pleasure. The mental and emotional costs associated with sexuality are often overlooked. Engaging in sexual relationships requires a considerable investment of time, effort, and emotional energy. The process of seeking partners, nurturing relationships, dealing with rejections, breakups, and the emotional upheaval that these situations cause can be exhaustive. Furthermore, the power dynamics involved in sexual relationships can sometimes lead to manipulation, coercion, or even abuse, adding another layer of potential danger and distress. There's no denying that sex can also be a tool of control and dominance, used to exert power over another person. The constant need to conform to societal standards of beauty and desirability can also lead to a negative body image, low self-esteem, and anxiety. This pressure to always be perfect, to attract and retain a sexual partner, can be mentally draining and unhealthy. The philosophy of Epicurus offers an interesting perspective on this topic. He argued that sex, though a natural desire, isn't necessary for happiness. In fact, he viewed it as a potential source of unnecessary distress. According to him, the fleeting pleasure that sex provides is often accompanied by considerable anxiety and dissatisfaction. Epicurus believed in the principle of hedonism, the pursuit of pleasure and avoidance of pain, but he also stressed on the importance of understanding the intricacies of pleasure and pain. Not all pleasures lead to happiness, and not all pains lead to distress. The pleasure of sex might bring along with it a myriad of potential pain and distress, the fear of rejection, the anxiety of performance, the disappointment of unmet expectations, and the despair of failed relationships. A momentary pleasure could potentially lead to prolonged distress, making one question if the pleasure was worth the pain. This perspective forces us to reflect on whether we've been blindly chasing a pleasure that could potentially cause more harm than good. This philosophy also challenges the societal narrative that sex is the ultimate pleasure and an essential part of adult life. It pushes us to move beyond our primal instincts and question if what we've been conditioned to desire is truly what we want or need. This can be an uncomfortable realization for many, as it challenges our deep-seated beliefs and our understanding of pleasure and happiness. This leads to a pertinent question: how can one attain happiness and mental peace in a world so consumed by sexual desire? One potential answer lies in the path of celibacy. Buddhism, for instance, argues that desires can grow stronger when indulged and can lead to dissatisfaction. According to Buddhism, every craving we feed simply leads to more craving. The pleasure derived from fulfilling a desire is momentary, and soon, the desire resurfaces, often stronger than before. This constant cycle of desire and fulfillment can lead to a state of perpetual dissatisfaction and unrest. Buddhism suggests that the path to peace and happiness lies in overcoming desire, not in indulging it. Through celibacy, one can potentially overcome the overpowering desire for sex, leading to greater mental freedom. It's a counterintuitive concept in a society that constantly reinforces the idea of sexual fulfillment as a path to happiness. But it's a concept that offers a radical and potentially liberating perspective on sex and happiness. As we delve deeper into this idea, we'll discover how this choice can potentially provide a liberating and expansive perspective on life, how it can free up mental and physical energy, reduce societal pressures, and even potentially enhance creativity. We'll explore the personal experiences of those who have chosen this path, and also delve into some controversial and unproven theories like sexual transmutation. And while this might not be a path for everyone, understanding this perspective can help us make more informed decisions about our own lives. So, let's take a leap into this fascinating world of celibacy and question the narrative that society has set for us. Let's challenge our understanding of happiness and fulfillment and open our minds to new possibilities. It's time to venture into uncharted territories and discover what lies beyond our conditioned desires. As we navigate this maze of human existence, there are several paths we can take. And while the path of celibacy might seem daunting or even unattractive to some, it's important to remember that every path has its own unique set of benefits. The thought of foregoing sexual pleasure might be intimidating. It's worth considering the potential expansiveness and liberation this path can offer. Celibacy is not merely the absence of sexual activity. It's more than just a lifestyle choice. It is a conscious decision to redirect the energy typically spent on sexual pursuits towards self-growth and personal development. It's about making a commitment to oneself, to make the most of our time, energy, and focus. Those who have chosen this path often recount the profound mental liberation they've experienced. The constant chatter of sexual desire that once consumed their thoughts is replaced with a serene quiet, free from craving and its associated anxieties. This newfound mental freedom expands their capacity for introspection and self-awareness. It provides them with a fresh lens through which they view the world, unclouded by sexual preoccupations. This newfound mental peace and clarity can also lead to increased productivity. The energy and time that was once spent on pursuing sexual pleasure is now available for other pursuits. It could be channeled into learning a new skill, pursuing a hobby, or even enhancing one's career. Celibacy can also free individuals from certain societal pressures. The desire to be sexually attractive to others often drives people to conform to societal standards of beauty and attractiveness. This can lead to excessive preoccupation with physical appearance, which can be mentally exhausting and even lead to negative body image and self-esteem issues. Choosing celibacy can liberate one from this constant pressure to conform. It enables them to accept and love themselves for who they are, not for who others want them to be. It shifts the focus from the external to the internal, from physical attractiveness to character and personality. This can lead to increased self-confidence and self-esteem, which is essential for overall mental well-being. Moreover, celibacy can potentially lead to decreased dependence on external validation. When one's self-worth is no longer tied to sexual desirability or the ability to attract a partner, there is an inherent shift in the perception of self-worth. It starts to stem from within, from personal achievements and self-growth rather than external validation. Another less discussed potential benefit of celibacy is the possibility of enhanced creativity. This brings us to the controversial concept of sexual transmutation, which suggests that the sexual energy can be redirected towards creative pursuits. Sexual transmutation is not a new concept. It has been practiced in various forms throughout history and across cultures. The basic premise is that sexual energy is a powerful force that can be harnessed and redirected towards intellectual or creative pursuits. The idea is that by abstaining from sexual activity, this energy doesn't dissipate but accumulates, and can then be used for other purposes. While this concept lacks scientific proof, there is considerable anecdotal evidence supporting it. Many famous individuals, including Nikola Tesla and Muhammad Ali, have reportedly practiced celibacy or temporary abstinence to enhance their creativity or performance. This brings us to the No Fap movement, an online community advocating for abstaining from pornography and masturbation. Supporters of this movement report experiencing a range of benefits from increased energy and focus to enhanced creativity and productivity. However, it's essential to acknowledge that the path of celibacy might not be for everyone. It requires considerable discipline and commitment. The intensity of sexual desire and the pleasure derived from sex makes it a challenging path to follow. Furthermore, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one might not work for another. But it's worth considering. Even if you decide that celibacy isn't for you, understanding this perspective can help you make more informed decisions about your own sexual behavior. It can help you understand and manage your desires better and potentially lead to a more satisfying and fulfilling life. In conclusion, while sex is an integral part of human existence, it's not the be-all and end-all of life. There are other ways to experience pleasure and fulfillment. The path of celibacy offers an alternative perspective, one that might seem unconventional and even radical, but also potentially liberating and expansive. It's a path worth exploring, for it might just lead to a greater understanding of oneself and the world. So, we've looked at the potential benefits and opportunities that can come with celibacy. Now, let's delve a little deeper into the philosophical and psychological perspectives on desire and celibacy. Buddhism offers a particularly insightful perspective on this topic. At the heart of Buddhist philosophy is the belief that all suffering is rooted in desire. In this context, desire refers not just to sexual desire but to all forms of craving and attachment. Buddhists believe that all desires, when indulged, only tend to grow stronger, leading to a cycle of dissatisfaction. The more we give in to our desires, the more our desires grow, and the more they grow, the harder they become to satisfy. This, in turn, leads to more suffering. In the context of sexuality, the Buddhist perspective suggests that indulging in sexual pleasure can intensify sexual desire, leading to greater dissatisfaction. This idea contradicts the common notion that sexual satisfaction can quench sexual desire. Instead, Buddhism proposes that the more we feed our sexual desire, the hungrier it becomes. Buddhists, therefore, advocate for celibacy as a means to break this cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. Through practicing celibacy, they believe we can overcome sexual desire and attain greater mental freedom. This is not to say that Buddhism views sex as inherently bad or sinful. Rather, it views sexual desire as a form of attachment that can bind us to the cycle of suffering. Celibacy, in this context, is seen as a path to liberation. It's about releasing ourselves from the chains of desire and attachment. It's about finding contentment in the here and now, without constantly seeking satisfaction in the future. Now, you might be wondering, how does one actually overcome sexual desire? Buddhism offers a twofold method: mindfulness and understanding. Mindfulness encourages us to be fully present in the moment, to observe our thoughts and desires without judgment or resistance. As we become more mindful, we start to realize the transient nature of our desires. We begin to understand that desires come and go, just like waves in the ocean. This understanding can help us develop a sense of detachment from our desires. The second component, understanding, involves gaining insight into the true nature of our desires. This involves contemplating the drawbacks of giving in to our desires, as well as the benefits of abstaining. This can help us see our desires in a new light, reducing their hold over us. But Buddhism is not the only philosophy that advocates for celibacy. The ancient Greek philosopher, Epicurus, also saw sex as a natural but unnecessary pleasure that could potentially be harmful. He argued that the pursuit of sex often leads to more harm than good, resulting in emotional turmoil, relationship difficulties, and even physical health risks. Epicurus's philosophy was all about maximizing pleasure and minimizing pain. He proposed that the most reliable way to achieve happiness is through tranquility, and that the pursuit of unnecessary desires, like sex, often disrupts this tranquility. He suggested that by abstaining from sexual activity, we can avoid the potential harms associated with it, thereby leading a more peaceful and content life. This perspective offers a refreshing counterpoint to the modern narrative that equates sexual activity with happiness and fulfillment. In conclusion, both Buddhism and Epicureanism suggest that there is a profound freedom to be found in overcoming desire. They propose that celibacy, far from being a deprivation or sacrifice, can be an empowering choice that leads to greater mental liberation. These perspectives challenge us to question our beliefs and assumptions about sex and desire. They invite us to consider the possibility that there might be other, perhaps more fulfilling, ways to live our lives. It is, of course, up to each of us to decide what path to take. But regardless of our choice, understanding these perspectives can help us navigate our own sexual desires with greater awareness and intention. The perspectives presented by Buddhism and Epicureanism certainly invite us to consider the potential benefits of celibacy. But what does this look like in practice? How might choosing celibacy impact our daily lives, our sense of self, and our relationships with others? Let's start by acknowledging that celibacy is not an easy path. It requires discipline, courage, and a willingness to challenge societal norms and expectations. But those who choose this path often report that the challenges are outweighed by the benefits. One of the most common benefits reported by those who choose celibacy is a sense of liberation. When we no longer need to seek out sexual partners, we free ourselves from the pressures of dating and maintaining relationships solely for the purpose of sexual satisfaction. This can lead to less stress, less emotional turmoil, and more time and energy to focus on other aspects of our lives. Many people who choose celibacy also report feeling more centered and at peace with themselves. They find that by not constantly seeking sexual satisfaction, they are able to be more present in their daily lives, more in tune with their own needs and feelings, and more connected with the world around them. Moreover, without the distraction of sexual desire, some people find that they are able to channel their energy more effectively into other areas of their life. They may become more productive at work, more creative in their hobbies, or more focused on their personal growth. But the benefits of celibacy are not limited to the individual. Choosing celibacy can also have a positive impact on our relationships with others. When we're not constantly on the lookout for potential sexual partners, we can engage more authentically with the people around us. We can build deeper, more meaningful relationships based on mutual respect and shared interests, rather than physical attraction. Choosing celibacy can also help us to challenge and redefine societal norms and expectations. In a society that often equates sex with happiness and fulfillment, choosing to abstain from sex can be a powerful statement. It can encourage us to question and challenge the status quo, to seek out new ways of experiencing pleasure and connection, and to redefine what it means to live a fulfilling life. To illustrate this point, let's consider some personal stories of people who have chosen celibacy. One person, who chose to remain anonymous, described how their decision to become celibate led to a greater sense of self-awareness and independence. They reported feeling more in tune with their own needs and desires, and more capable of fulfilling them on their own. They also reported that their relationships with others became more genuine and rewarding, as they were no longer clouded by sexual desire. Another person, a woman named Lisa, reported that her decision to become celibate helped her to overcome a long-standing fear of being alone. She had previously clung to unsatisfying relationships out of fear of loneliness, but through celibacy, she learned to find comfort and joy in her own company. These stories highlight the potential benefits of celibacy. They suggest that celibacy can lead to a greater sense of self-awareness, independence, and authenticity. They suggest that it can free us from the constraints of societal expectations and help us to forge our own path. Of course, celibacy is not for everyone. It requires a level of discipline and self-awareness that can be challenging to maintain. But for those who choose this path, the potential rewards are plentiful. Whether it's increased productivity, enhanced creativity, more authentic relationships, or a greater sense of self-awareness, the benefits of celibacy are diverse and far-reaching. While understanding the potential benefits of celibacy, it is also important to dive into the concept of sexual transmutation. This idea, though not backed by substantial scientific research, has a long history and a multitude of anecdotal evidence supporting it. The central premise of this concept is the redirection of sexual energy into other areas of life, thereby enhancing creativity and productivity. This may seem strange or far-fetched to some, but let's consider the nature of energy. Energy is not created or destroyed, it is merely transferred or transmuted. Our sexual energy is a powerful force, and it can be redirected, just as a river can be diverted to power a mill. Instead of flowing towards sexual activity, this energy can flow towards mental, emotional, and creative endeavors. Many people have noted an increase in their creativity and productivity when they abstain from sexual activity. They report being able to think more clearly, focus more intensely, and generate more innovative ideas. This is not to say that sexual activity is a hindrance to creativity and productivity. Rather, it suggests that abstaining from sex can create a reservoir of energy that can be directed towards these endeavors. This concept of sexual transmutation is not new. It has been practiced in various Eastern philosophies and spiritual traditions for millennia. In Taoist philosophy, for example, sexual energy is seen as a powerful life force that can be harnessed for spiritual growth. The celibate monks and nuns of Buddhism and Christianity have also long recognized the power of sexual energy and its potential for transmutation. In the context of modern society, where sex is often seen as a central part of human life, the idea of sexual transmutation can be quite revolutionary. It challenges the mainstream narrative that sex is the ultimate goal of romantic relationships and offers an alternative perspective where sex can be seen not just as a physical act, but also as a source of creative energy. So, how does one practice sexual transmutation? There are many ways, and different people may find different methods more effective. Some people meditate, using their sexual energy to fuel their spiritual growth. Others pour their energy into their work or their hobbies, using it to drive their productivity and creativity. Others use their energy to build stronger, deeper relationships with the people around them. Again, it's important to note that sexual transmutation is not a one-size-fits-all solution. What works for one person may not work for another. The key is to experiment and find what works best for you. Start by paying attention to your own energy levels and noticing how they change when you abstain from sexual activity. Then, try different methods of redirection and see which ones help you to harness your energy most effectively. Ultimately, the goal of sexual transmutation is not to suppress or deny our sexual energy, but to harness it and use it to our advantage. Whether it's through increased productivity, enhanced creativity, or deeper relationships, the potential benefits of sexual transmutation are vast and far-reaching. By mastering the art of sexual transmutation, we can transform our lives in profound and meaningful ways. To further illustrate this idea, let's take examples from history. There are famous individuals who deliberately chose celibacy or at least temporary abstinence, viewing it as a means to channel their energies towards their work. One such individual is Nikola Tesla, the renowned inventor and physicist. Tesla never married and was reported to have died a virgin. He once said, "I do not think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married men." Then we have the legendary boxer Muhammad Ali, who frequently abstained from intercourse several weeks before a major fight. Ali believed that abstinence enhanced his performance in the boxing ring. These are just a few examples of how celibacy or temporary abstinence might have been used as a tool for enhanced creativity or performance. Let's move towards a more recent phenomenon, the no-fap movement. This internet-driven movement encourages men, and to a lesser extent women, to abstain from pornography and masturbation. Its proponents claim a myriad of benefits from abstaining, including increased energy, focus, confidence, and productivity. While the scientific community has not fully endorsed these claims, the anecdotal evidence from thousands of no-fap subscribers provides compelling narratives. However, it would be remiss not to acknowledge the power of sexual desire and the pleasure derived from sexual activities. These are potent forces and fundamental aspects of our human nature. It's these compelling factors that make it unlikely celibacy will become a widespread practice. As we have seen, celibacy is not a path devoid of challenges. The decision to abstain from sex, even temporarily, requires a high level of self-discipline and understanding of one's bodily desires and responses. Nevertheless, the potential rewards, enhanced creativity, increased productivity, and greater mental freedom, are motivating factors that can't be overlooked. In conclusion, while our society continues to emphasize the importance of sexual relationships, it's clear there's a growing interest in alternative lifestyles. Those who choose celibacy, whether for spiritual, personal, or health reasons, are part of a diverse and complex narrative about what it means to be human in the 21st century. The decision to engage in sexual activity, or to refrain from it, is deeply personal. It's not about right or wrong, good or bad. It's about what works best for each individual, considering their unique circumstances, beliefs, and goals. And as we have explored, for some, celibacy provides a path to greater creativity, productivity, and mental liberation. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. We hope this exploration of celibacy and its potential benefits has given you food for thought. If you found this content valuable, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video. And stay tuned for more enlightening discussions on topics that challenge conventional wisdom and open new horizons of understanding. Remember, it's your life, and the choices you make shape your journey. Choose wisely and keep exploring.